Hi everyone! So as I said last week, we're going to be talking about 1917 and the idea of invisible visual effects. So 1917 is a film directed by Sam Mendes. It has been nominated for 9 BAFTA awards, 10 Oscars. It won the Golden Globe for Best Drama Film and Best Director. And especially as we're talking about visual effects, it has been nominated for Best Visual Effects by both the BAFTAs and the Oscars. I'm sorry about all the noise. It's still windy outside and what you're hearing, any banging, is my window. I personally am not a big fan of war movies, but I have to say 1917 is very good. So just to give a quick summary of what 1917 is about, it's about these two young men that are in the British Army in World War I, in trench warfare, are sent out on a mission to go to the front lines to stop an attack that is a trap laid by the Germans. So the thing that makes this movie different from other war movies is that it is edited in such a way that it all flows smoothly as if it is one take. It does mean that there are some things that happen that to me seem a bit improbable. Just literally the amount of stuff that happens to these people seems improbable simply because it is such a short amount of time. It's hard-hitting and it tries to give you an insight into what it's like to be a normal human being in a situation of warfare. As I said earlier, I want to discuss 1917 in relation to visual effects and the idea of invisible visual effects. So a lot of the big blockbuster movies that we have these days are very obvious in their visual effects use. So Star Wars and most superhero movies, especially like the Avengers, MCU movies, are very obvious in their visual effects. We know that there is no such thing as flying spaceship or flying people, or that the portals that Doctor Strange makes are not things that can exist in real life. Films like 1917 and a lot of more drama films also have visual effects, but they are not the obvious ones. They're not the ones that you can see from miles away that it is fake, basically. This is not to diss any visual effects people that work on the big blockbuster movies, but we definitely as viewers know that it's fake. The idea of invisible visual effects is not something that a lot of people think about, but basically any drama film that you will watch, whether it is historic drama, contemporary drama, will have visual effects in it. So this can be as small as changing the lighting on a glass or having candle flames in the background, but can also be as big as changing the whole sky because a scene is shot over multiple days and the weather changes between those days. Or it can be creating a whole street because you only have the budget to build one building and the rest of the street needs to be digitally created. This is all relatively common visual effects stuff. This happens both in the big blockbusters and the smaller productions. These are things that you're not supposed to pay attention to because you're supposed to pay attention to the characters and their story. So the thing for me, especially with the visual effects, is that because a lot of these visual effects in drama films are invisible, the people who make them are invisible. This is a thing that I've been thinking about and worrying about for a long time. So in 2013, Life of Pi won Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. And during the speech that was given after the win, the people were attempting to speak about the fact that their company was bankrupt. They had just won the highest award that you can get in US filmmaking, and they were bankrupt. They had laid their people off. They were unable to continue as a company despite just having won this award. They attempted to say this. So the Academy played them off and they were not allowed to say this. Not to us, the public, not to the people in the audience, not to the filmmakers in the audience. They were not supposed to bring the mood down like that. Because it was apparently back then, economic statements were not allowed, but like political statements, as long as you're a like important filmmaker or actress or actor, you're allowed to make those statements. But if you're visual effects, you're not supposed to say anything. You'd think in like the past 7 years something would have changed, but a couple of months ago the news came out that one of the bigger companies, the visual effects animation companies that worked on The Lion King, the big blockbusting box office conquering Lion King, had to close part of their operations. A visual effects studio that had worked on one of the biggest films of the year had to close their operations because they were unable financially to keep going. And this is why the idea around invisible visual effects needs to be discussed. Because the fact that the effects are invisible seems to also make the people and the companies doing it invisible. So, my plight to you, dear viewer, is if you're going to be watching a film soon or a TV show soon, please stay through the credits and see how many visual effects people have worked on what you're watching. And especially if it's a drama where you don't expect it, sit through the credits and see how many people have worked on this. And if you're a filmmaker, please pay your visual effects people well. Try to understand how hard they work and how much training goes into creating what you want. It is hard work, it is craft, it's artistry. There is so much to it that people don't seem to realize. It is not a computer making this, it's a person. It is multiple people, it's teams of people. They need to be compensated for that work on a fair rate. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is because the VFX industry and the animation industry are very interlinked and to a certain degree the same, especially when it comes to digital, like 3D animation. A lot of 3D animation companies also do visual effects. This is true for studios like D Negative in London or Axis Studios, who have an office here in Glasgow. These are relatively big companies, as are like the Industrial Light and Magic, which everybody probably knows, as well as Wetaworks, which people also know. So basically what it comes down to is, if you watch a film, please pay attention to the visual effects. Just have a look, because there are more people involved in a film like 1917 than you probably realize. Thank you so much for watching. As I said, please have a look out for all the VFX artists that you might not have noticed in your favorite films. Alright. Keep watching good films, keep watching things you enjoy, and hopefully I'll see you again next week. Bye!